Hey, what is up, ladies and gentlemen? I'm Mickey Mouse here once again, and I'm back for some more yet again for the Maxi Toys videos. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to more Let's Play of Sonic and the Secret Rings for the Nintendo Wii. So last time we actually did manage to explore through Lost Prologue and able to be completely done with 8 missions on that world because, you know, it's basically a tutorial world like everything else. And, also, we actually introduced into ourselves the forms of 2 new characters introduced in this game, by the forms of both Showa, the Genie of the Ring, in addition to the main antagonist of the actual game, Eraser Jin. So, that could be something related to when we get to later down the road in the forms of the actual main plot of the game. So, today for this episode, ladies and gentlemen, is the fact that we're going to be taking on Oasis, a desert ruin with ruins. So, that's what it says on that description, and at the moment we can only do 1 mission at the moment in the forms of Oasis, and that's the forms of go for the gold mission, and the objective on this one is to be able to find King Sharyar before Eraser Jin managed to find him first, before we do. But of course we can able to make our way there before Eraser Jin managed to get to him, so I digress. So now we actually introduce into ourselves, you know the leveling up system, as far as I've mentioned this before? Well, as soon as you're able to actually get one of those special abilities that you get from leveling up your character, you can actually manage to able to equip one of your special abilities, like the forms of the ring bonus, which if I manage to, equip that ability, that way you can able to actually start up the mission up when you're able to start things off with just 5 rings instead of the usual 0. That can be very handy though, especially noticeable that if you ever, trying to first experience out for this entirety of the game, then you weren't able to actually equip that ability from the start. So, yeah, that's what I could say about this here. So here we go with Oasis, the first main world in Sonic and the Secret Rings, and differently from the soundtrack department from the entirety of the Sonic games at this point, is the fact that, although it's kind of like the same thing for Sonic R, that every single level is now vocals, even then though that because of that, some people seem to dislike the aspect of the forms of the soundtrack of the game, but honestly, I felt pretty alright with the actual soundtrack, even with the forms of, the vocal themes and all that stuff. As for voice acting, on the other hand, though, it's just a complete different story, because even then, we'll get some more details onto that as soon as we proceed to the story and stuff like that, so, even especially when we get towards the very end, so, I digress. So from here, as you might expect, we've already collected most of those rings, enjoying the likes of the actual main level itself, in addition to able to collect them, enjoying the likes of in Lost Prologue and all that stuff. We managed to able to introduce ourselves by the forms of these new types of collectibles, which are essentially these little white orbs known as the pearls. Every time you actually find them in the forms of the actual levels themselves, even treasure chests included, and even defeating those genie-like enemies, then you would able to actually just grind those pearls as much as you can. So even then though that, there's nothing we can do with the pearls at the moment until we get to the later portion of the game. And as you can see, we can only carry up to 50 rings on the top left corner of the screen because as soon as we continuously leveling up with our status report in the forms of the entirety of the game itself, the more level up we can get up to, then we can hopefully guarantee we can able to actually increase our rings values. Even then though that, things stuff like the forms of somewhat similar to the RPG games pretty much. So yeah, that's just how I think it is. So even then though, yeah. As you can see, we actually come across into those different types of genie-like enemies, like the forms of, we already know the blue ones, which are very standard stuff. There's also the likes of the red variations, which differently from any other color variations, like the blue ones, can actually breathe fire. So even then, though, we have to avoid those no matter what. And from here, as you can see, I've managed to go through the actual Pearls ring. As you can see, I've managed to obtain those Fire Souls. There are 3 of them in total in some of those missions. However, all the missions doesn't contain every single Fire Souls, only in some missions. Because this is before when the Red Star Rings exist, in the forms of Sonic Colors, Sonic Generations, Sonic Lost World, and I'm pursuing also Sonic Dash, Sonic Boom, Sonic Dash 2, and I'm pursuing Sonic Forces, and especially notable for Sonic Forces Speed Battle, and especially notable for Sonic the Hedgehog 4 Episode 2. Well, granted though, in Sonic the Hedgehog 4 Episode 2, you only have like 1 ring star to able to obtain from, and basically, what these fire souls can do is the fact that not only does it able to actually give you some additional points as soon as we're able to actually finish up this first mission in this particular Sand Oasis level, and also actually give you something related to some of those items or even mini games or even unlockable characters in the party mode. So even then though, that could be something worth mentioning, so not digress. So, as you can tell, that the actual vocal theme on this particular level in Sand Oasis is definitely the forms of probably the pretty okay music in my opinion, just because you might as well be very familiar with this particular vocal theme music, and that's the forms of Let It Speed Mended, because that song makes a return in the forms of Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games, and even especially notable for Mario and Sonic at the London 2012 Olympic Games, pretty much, so I don't really mind about this music though. But as far as the rest, that sometimes feels a bit forgettable to me though, because sometimes it just repeats one of those phrases every single time, even especially noticeable when we get to like the second main world of the game. Now, you guys should know what I'm talking about. But even then though, we'll get to that sooner or later. But for now, since we're almost there towards the end of the actual missions level, and there's the goal right here. So, and the goal is very simple. Basically, we need to bypass this little goal paper note thingy right there. Kinda like how it does in the forms of Sonic and the Black Knight, except there is no goal ring whatsoever. But even then, oh yeah, in addition to the forms of the actual time record you can able to beat, in addition to I've got myself silver medal, you can also get, as you can see, you can also get yourselves the experience points based off on what you did done for the actual level, like every time you kill the enemies, and as you can see I've got 2 fire cells at the moment, and because of that it says experience bonus. I believe it gives you like 500 experience points each every time you grab those fire cells, so that should be worth a while. So we have the mini turbo, quick move the Wii remote forward when countdown at 1, and you'll get yourselves a boost. So kind of like how it does it by the forms of the Mario Kart thing, where if you manage to hold the accelerate button at the right time when it gets to 1, then you weren't able to get yourselves a very good start of the actual points, so you know.
Where is he? Are we too late? Huh? What's Dr. Eggman doing here? Aha! I knew it! This is all another one of your schemes!
What is the meaning of this? I am Sharyar, king of this land.
Eggman, what are you up to this time?
Sonic, wait! You're making a mistake! This is him. This is King Sharyar.
Really?
Such insolence! Guards, seize this blue spiky thing at once!
Where are your men, Your Highness?
Oh, that's right. Let me explain. When the evil spirits appeared out of nowhere, everyone turned and ran, and I was stuck having to hide in that jar. No! Help me!
Well, well. Guess it's time for a little action.
And yes, just like in Sonic and the Black Knight, characters are represented from the forms of the actual, like, some Sonic characters based off from the actual characters. Like the forms of, that we have Dr. Eggman, that he's playing as King Sharyar. And ironically, that this might be actually be the only Sonic game, at least for the storybook series, that Eggman gets his fully appearance, not counting by the forms of the Eggman's cameo appearance in the forms of one of those extras you can get in Sonic and the Black Knight, in the forms of, let's just say, the museum mode or the gallery mode. I think it's gallery mode, actually. So, not digress, so that's pretty much it by the forms of go for the goal mission. And the next mission we're going to be heading to is known as Die Hard Challenge. And basically, in this one, we can't afford to lose a life. Or in this case, for this matter, we can't afford to die. So even then, let's get a good start here. And there we go, that's how the mini turbo works. You get yourselves a very good boost start, and then that way you should be able to actually continue moving along. So, that's all I can say about this game though, as far as the moveset is concerned, so yeah. In fact, ironically enough, that since I first got this game back in 2007, after obtaining the forms of The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess and stuff like that, and that was the only experience I've actually just managed to have a very good time with. And especially noticeable whenever I play this game, I have no issues with that. Although sometimes the control scheme can take a little bit of a long time to get used to because everything else is in horizontal mode instead of vertical mode. But even then, though, that's as far as I can usually say about this. Other than that, so there we go. That concludes the Die Hard challenge, as you can see right there. And I do apologize if my voice has gone a little bit more awkward all of a sudden, just because of how the fact that, well, once again, I've got myself my dried throat, so I do apologize for that. Alright, so we got ourselves the next new skill, Pearl Collector, and tracks near pearls. So, that could be helpful in some scenarios, but not until when we get to the later portion of the game, on the other hand. So, yeah, as you might expect it. So, in fact, it's been a long while since I actually managed to be completely silent, but in forms of, like, some cutscene shows up, and then even then, it's kind of, you know, sorry, a little bit of a tangent right there, but I digress. So anyways, though, let's move on to the next special challenge, and in this one, basically, all it is basically we can either do two different special challenges. You can either break 5 jars, or don't break the jars at all in the majority of the mission. So I thought to myself I'm also able to do it in a forward fashion way. So even then I will go ahead and deal with this mission first. So obviously it's very simple. Basically we need to complete the mission without breaking any sort of jars. And if you break one of them, then you have to redo the entire mission again. So yeah, this part is all right there. I'm probably not going to get them all, honestly, because they seems kind of optional if you want to get them all, other than unlocking more of those mini-games you get in a party mode, in addition to unlockable characters. And even then, the reason why I'm going to be grabbing some of those fire souls just because of these experience points I might as well keep on leveling up in my disposal. So, even then, I'm probably not going to go through every single fire souls. I'll just mainly concentrate on the forms of the main adventure itself. Just like how I believe Duffy and Sylvester did done that back in during the likes of in Sonic and the Black Knight Let's Play, so I thought to myself I might as well do the same thing for this game. Oh wow, that was very close. Yeah, whenever I first played this game back in 2007, I did have some bit of struggles by the forms of this mission in particular, because I did not expect it for that, you know, go for these little curve-to-curve syndrome. It always throws me off a little bit, because even then though that, because again, since how this mission applies, that we can't afford to break any of those jars, because even then though, I just completely messed up for that mission when I was like, let's just say about 9 years or something like that. But even then though, every nowadays, since I'm grown older, I pretty much know exactly what I'm gonna do here. Alright, we have another new skill here, the Turbo Boost. Acceleration rate to top speed increases. So that could be very helpful though, especially when time-based system works.
Oh, thank you. I thought I was done for.
Tails? What are you doing here too?
Tails? My name is Alibaba.
Come on, Tails. I know it's you.
I'm very sorry. He seems to have mistaken you for someone else.
Oh, it's okay. I'm still very grateful that you saved me. I might not be very strong, but I've still got some tricks up my sleeve. If you ever need my help in return, it would be the least I could do to repay you.
Thank you. If something comes up, we'll be sure to call you.
And as you can see, we've actually bumped into Alibaba, aka Tails, in all things. So even though that's very interesting to say the least, even though Sonic did manage to able to get some bit of a mistakes because of how the fact that this is a entirely different world to him. This means every single character is represented by the forms of based off from Aladdin Arabian Nights Tale. So now I digress, let's go ahead and equip our Turbo Boost here in case if we get some speed going. And even then, that should be pretty worthwhile. So even then, let's get to it with the next special mission before we get into another Die Hard challenge. And this time, we're going to be able to break jars this time. So, let's go ahead and destroy one of those precious, valuable obstacles. Or in this case, not so much obstacles, but objects. So, that's what I meant to say. So, yeah, let's get into the actual main points about the fact that most of these review critics, and especially fans, did have mixed receptions, both between the storybook series for Sonic, which are essentially both Sonic and the Secret Rings and Sonic and the Black Knight. Most people seem to complain about the controls in the forms of Secret Rings because of how awkward it usually is to handle with. And some people complain about the swordplay mechanics in the forms of in the Black Knight. But some people seem to actually enjoy Secret Rings a lot more than Black Knight. but some people usually think about Black Knight is easily better than Secret Rings was, because I know, because they have like mixed reception. So, and because of that though, I enjoy both, don't get me wrong, but I can't really tell which one's better out of the two. But even then though, that could be saying much because of mixed receptions between different catalogs and stuff. So once we're done with those two break the jars, or in this case these jar-like based missions, we actually unlock the next new world. And this makes no sense, because even then, I'll explain more on that later, but even then, the next world we've just managed to unlock is Dinosaur Jungle, which I'll get to more on that as soon as we get to the next video, because I might decide to able to completely deal with the forms of one world per video, at least it all depends on the video's length. So even then, we're able to actually go through like the majority of the worlds themselves. So here we go with the next mission. So we have another Die Hard challenge, and basically, just like before, we can't afford to die. So even then, let's go and get this one started. So yeah, that's what I can really say about when it comes to like some people usually have some mixed reactions, or in this case mixed reception, to the forms of both Sonic and the Secret Rings and Sonic and the Black Knight at the same time. Well, granted though, because this game did came out in 2007, obviously, and then in 2009, we've got Sonic and the Black Knight's release song from, so that's very obvious there, so let's go ahead. Oh, you kidding me? That's pretty unfair. Yeah, let's try this again. So here's my first, mission failed, syndrome right there, folks, for this particular Let's Play. I know this probably because it's nothing my fault or anything, it's probably because I hate those disappearing enemies, because they always reminds me of those disappearing blocks from the Mega Man series, except the fact that it's not in a 2D plane, instead it's actually in 3D plane, and plus Sonic actually contains his homing attack and stuff. That means I got to find my way to able to actually figure out the correct way to able to actually bypass this section completely. So, but even then though, it turns out that the invisible spring was actually there in one of those jointed rail grinding sequences, which still I found it's hard to believe that, so. And I think if I remember correctly, by the informs of back in 2011, around the same year as whenever— What the? Okay. Thank you for that extra boost there. Okay. Anyway though, with that being said though, let's get into the other reason, well, the reason why we managed to able to do this game for a third time is because, well, as far as I've briefly mentioned about that during the likes of in the first part of the video, enjoying it back in 2011 is alright, as far as I've said this before, but the quality of the video is pretty crappy in comparison, and also I've somehow for some reason skipped those cutscenes of the game, which is not that great to able to do that, especially in Let's Plays like this. But this time around though, enjoying the likes of in 2014 to 15, because of the actual short gap in between delaying between those few different parts, well, actually I'll get to more on that later, but for now, another level up that we've got is the backstep. Press the 2 button while moving back to backstep, so that can be very helpful if you want to backtrack for those parts very, very quickly. So even then though, I can essentially just equip that. So, yeah, apart from that though, there's not much else I can really say about this other than that. So even then though, let's go ahead and deal with, I guess next mission we're going to be heading to is these collecting those rings. So basically, this time, we need to collect about roughly 99 of them. So, what is this, like, we've almost at 100 rings and count. Well, at least this might be a little bit more exaggerating, but at least we don't have to, like, deal with these kinds of stuff like this. So, anyways, let's get to this mission to it. So, yeah, back in 2014 to 15, that I managed to able to actually did this for myself this time, other than in 2011, I temporarily just managed to work with Bowser back in during the likes of in 2011, but it's no longer happening, just because of those two original redo Let's Plays of the films of this game is no longer in existence now, because, well, the actual quality of the redeemable capture card quality is very, very good during 2014 to 15, but other than that though, the audio is a little bit more quieter, and especially noticeable with the commentary itself as well. So that's why I've decided to able to do this game for a third time, and hopefully the quality itself is much better than the likes of how it does it from last time, and even the commentary itself as well. So, yeah, that's the reason why I've decided to able to do this game again for the third time. So, anyways though, So this mission is very simple. Basically, we need to collect about 99 rings, and as soon as you grab them all, 99, then you would able to accomplish that mission. So, another silver medal. We haven't got any of those gold medals yet, which is kind of strange, but even then though, because we constantly getting ourselves a lot of silver medals. I think it's probably because I managed to able to not notice that. Attack increased power, well, granted to backstep, so I think I'm actually going to use that in a later time in the game, especially noticeable when we get towards the very end. So I'm probably not going to equip that just yet. So, anyways though, since we've actually unlocked 2 missions, we have Rampage, which is essentially defeating the enemy syndrome, but we're not going to get into that until we get to later on. And also Beat the Clock missions, which basically, all we have to do in these particular missions like this, we need to beat a certain amount of time before you're able to actually just reach the goal. So that's all we have to do in these missions like this. So, here we go. And obviously in this first one right there is the fact that we need to beat this mission for about, let's just say, 120 seconds. In this case, 2 minutes, if you will. Because if you notice the forms of the seconds limit, then that pretty much represents how much minutes you're gonna have to beat the level itself. So, yeah, this first one's not too bad though, because even then though, especially noticeable if you actually memorize the actual level layout very well, and you should probably be able to recognize the actual level very nicely. And also, this mission doesn't hold the fire souls, so even then though, unlike in other missions that usually hold fire souls, because even then though that, again, there are 3 of them in total, so if you want able to continuously leveling up yourself, then, it can be a multitude of ways you can able to level up your character sometimes. You can either just collect most of those rings, defeat certain amount of enemies, or even collecting pearls especially, and especially noticeable for pretty much everything, including the likes of the fire souls if you want to able to get bonus experience points itself. So, that's what I can say about what the forms of the leveling up system in this game. So even then, it's not too complicated in my opinion, just because of how the fact that it's very pure simple as far as any sort of way. So I digress. So let's go ahead and deal with all kinds of genie-like enemies there. And hopefully we can get onto rail to rail. Wow, I'm gonna have to ignore these springs because sometimes they actually waste your time every time you interact with these springs themselves. So even then I'm also able to ignore those completely. And there we go, we reached the very end. Not too bad though, and let's see what medal we've got. Bronze medal. That figures. I think it's probably because I wasn't too fast enough, even when I need to be so precise of jump movements. But hey, at least we're done with that. So I believe we got ourselves our next cutscene.
Sonic, look!
Whoa! I take it that's not something you see every day, huh?
That must be a monster summoned forth by the Eraser Djinn.
Shara, can't you do something about it with your magic?
I'm sorry, Sonic. My magic is no match for that of the Eraser Djinn.
Okay then. Guess I'll just have to deal with him the old-fashioned way. And hey, don't look so glum, Shara. I'll have you smiling by the end of this. And that's not me ordering you as your master. That's a promise from me to you.
Yes, all right.
All right, let's do it!
A promise.
Alright, so since we actually got ourselves our pinky promise between Sonic and Shara, so even then though that we can able to actually know how important that particular promise is going to be until we get to later down the road of the game. But for now on though, let's go ahead and deal with the first boss in Sonic and the Secret Rings by the forms of the Sand Scorpion, which appears to be the first boss in the game. So even though expecting this might be the first boss in the game, I'm presuming this boss might be really easy. Especially noticeable if you actually equip one of your special abilities you can able to use from. So let's get to it. So here we go with Sand Scorpion right there, and basically this boss fight is pure and simple. Basically, as you expected, we're going to be going on rails this entire time, and you have to dodge his attacks such as this, and then as soon as you get closer, as soon as that particular eye on the right, or it depends on what directions he was in, you have to completely jump and just homing attack those 3 eyes twice in a row, and then you would able to deal the amount of damage on this center eye. If you think this boss is over, well, there's still one more phase to deal with here, and that's the forms of this weak spot. What the? How the hell did I get stuck there? Okay. I guess I have to redo that again, so let's try that again. And basically, you have to hit its weak spot, as you can see there, like 3 times, and once you do that, then you pretty much finish up with Sand Scorpion. As you expected, it's the first boss fight in the game, expecting it's going to be a lot easier, so at least if you know what you're doing. And there we go. I believe that pretty much wraps things up with Sand Oasis for now, and we got ourselves a fantastic gold medal to finish off the video. But first of all though, we got ourselves another kinds of level ups that we can get. How much level ups we can get? 2 level ups. Okay. And I believe we get ourselves a cutscene after that. Well, at least for now anyway. Quick step, ground movements to the left and right become smoother. So I might as well be able to equip that at some point. And quicker aerial movements to left and right become smoother as well. So, yeah, that's what I can say.
There it is, Sonic!
So that's...
This must be one of the 7 world rings the Eraser Djinn spoke of. Huh? I can't pick it up.
Ow!
When darkness descends upon the Arabian Nights, the legendary blue hedgehog from another world shall come.
Me? Legendary? You've got to be kidding. You're gonna make me blush.
When the 7 rings that control the worlds are gathered, the portal between the worlds shall open. But the life of the collector of the rings shall be offered up in sacrifice as the key for that control. That is what is written in the newest chapter of the Arabian Nights.
Say what? I'm supposed to be a sacrifice?
That I cannot say for sure, but I do believe that these world rings hold the key to some kind of mystery. And I think that we need to collect them to get to the bottom of this mystery.
Well, considering that I still have this arrow in me to worry about, I guess I'm in a pinch either way, right?
I'm sorry. It's my fault that all of this is happening to...
Hey, don't worry about it. Besides, don't you know how fast I am? Time may fly, but I'm even faster.
And yes, we've actually collected one of the first world rings that we've got, one of the 7 world rings, and that's the forms of the yellow world ring. Get it? Because this is actually based off from, like, sand everywhere and stuff. So yeah, that's what I can really think about. So even then though, I think that pretty much does it for Sand Oasis from now on though, and as you can see, we've got the first of one of the 7 world rings, so only 6 more to go. So anyways though, we got the endings off at this point right there folks, I'm afraid, so join me next time on Let's Play Sonic and the Secret Rings. Here's the fact that we're going to be taking on the next world of the game, Dinosaur Jungle. Oh boy. Anyway, see you guys then. Later fellas.